must realize now that you cannot hope to stop me with your limited power.
So you say?
It's futile. The world will betray you. Why fight at all? Why risk your life for those who will persecute you later?
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
What's up, San Antonio Sparce fans? Man, it's been a while since I've said that. We are back for the NBC Season 2 Draft Analysis. What's up, San Antonio Sparce fans? My name is Indomitable Will, and we are here for our draft analysis of Season 2 of the Master Battle Circuit. We were 5th pick out of 12 overall in the draft, so we got a little bit fortunate with the Pokemon, with our first Pokemon we were allowed to pick up. But for those of you who don't know, the NBC is a 24-coach league ran by yours truly, and we will be top 6 of each division in playoffs. Top 2 get buys, and yeah, so as you can see, this is our division. We had 2 separate drafts, each of 12 people, and we were the 5th pick out of a total of 12. So our nickname theme for this season is all Planeswalkers from Magic the Gathering, which is one of my other favorite games. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it, and I hope you all enjoy. So, starting things off with the 5th pick of the draft, we picked up Quintorius the Great Tusk. Little bit of lore on Quintorius. He is an archaeologist from the land of Strixhaven on the plane, or the College of Strixhaven on the plane of Arcavios. He is a Loxodon, meaning he is an elephant person. He studies archaeology and is red and white aligned, for those of you familiar with magic. Meaning, like, most of his magic revolves around forming rocks and things. So, we have the ability Protosynthesis, which is going to give our highest stat a boost in the sun or with the booster energy item. And HP is 115, attack is 131, defense is 131, special attack is 53, special defense is 53, and speed is 87. 87 is a pretty big speed tier because it can outspeed those pesky base 85 Pokemon, you know, Terapagos, Quavel, things like that. And Great Tusk, I believe, is the best utility mon in the format. It gets things like Stealth Rock, Knockoff, Rapid Spin, as well as 2 very strong stabs in ground and fighting, giving it access to Headlong Rush, Close Combat, and several other great options. It also has very good coverage options in things like Temper Flare, Ice Spinner, Supercell Slam, the aforementioned Knockoff, as well as Play Rough, Heavy Slam, I believe, and much more. Great Tusk is just an offensive powerhouse. This is my first time trying it out in a full-on upload league, and I'm very excited to use it. And yeah, so that is Quintorius, the archaeologist from the land of Strixhaven on the plane of Arcavios. Up next, we have our Tera captain, named after the elven planeswalker Nissa Ravane. She is from the land of Zendikar, which is a land that is very much empowered by its wildlife, which Ogerpon, serving as Nissa, is the vegetation queen, so to speak. And yeah, Zendikar is known for its powerful mana and just very, very strong wildlife, so I felt Ogerpon was the best fit. Ogerpon's ability is Defiant, and once it is terrestrialized, its ability is Embody Aspect. I personally believe that with the high tier Teras, that Ogerpon is one of, if not the strongest option. So, Ogerpon's stats, it has base 80 in HP, base 120 in attack, base 84 in defense, base 60 in special attack, base 96 in defense, and base 110 in speed. Ogerpon also gets a plethora of good moves, whether it be support or attacking. On the attacking side, you have very powerful stabs, all boosted by the terrestrialization, being Ivy Cudgel, Woodhammer, Power Whip, and Horn Leech as its powerful stab options, which all get a boost thanks to the grass terrestrialization. Ogerpon can only terrestrialize into a grass type, for those who do not know. It also gets access to U-Turn and Knockoff, both very, very useful moves, as well as some utility in Leech Seed, Spiky Shield, and Spikes. And it also gets very, very strong coverage in the form of the aforementioned Knockoff and U-Turn, as well as Play Rough, Low Kick, Superpower, Rock Tomb, and there are probably some other moves I'm forgetting that this thing gets, but overall, it has pretty insane coverage, and I'm so happy to add this powerful Tera addition to the team, and Nissa, Queen of the Wilds, is going to definitely help bring our team to victory. Up next, we have a special attacker, this time based on the Ghost Dragon, Ugin the Spirit Dragon, which we have Latios. So, Ugin is a Elder Dragon. He is one of the strongest dragons in the entire multiverse, and however, Ugin sadly over time passed away, but his ethereal spirit lives on in the multiverse of magic. So, Latios is going to represent Ugin, typing Psychic and Dragon, ability Levitate. I think those are all perfect character traits for Ugin. Has an HP stat of 80, an attack stat of 90, defense stat of 80, special attack stat of 130, special defense stat of 110, and a speed stat of 110. So, as Ogerpon and Great Tusk are very physical Pokemon, Ugin here, or Latios, is going to be our first main special attacker on the team. It has powerful stab options such as Luster Purge and Draco Meteor, which will deal a ton of damage. It can hit very hard with the Choice Specs or the Soul Dew items, both giving it a very sizable boost in attacking power. Luster Purge, its signature move, also got buffed this generation in that now there is a higher base power, and it will always drop, I believe it's always to drop the opponent's special defense by 2 stages. It also got access to Flip Turn this generation, which gives it a little bit of extra momentum, which is incredible because Ogerpon, while it has the Embody Aspect ability giving it +1 speed on switch in, Latios is actually base 110 speed, which makes it a little bit faster than those things trying to speed creep Great Tusk, which is phenomenal. Latios also gets a lot of good coverage. Things such as Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt. I'm not sure if Latios gets Alluring Voice, I'm pretty sure Latios does. I don't think Latios does, but it gets Aura Sphere, just Energy Ball, just a plethora of good coverage moves. And yeah, that's Ugin the Spirit Dragon for y'all. Up next, we have our Thundurus-Therian, which I named Ral Zarek. Ral is the Lightning Planeswalker on the plane of Ravnica. Ral is a master scientist who specializes in lightning magic. And yeah, he just summons lightning, summons storms, has the ability to call storms at will. So I think Thundurus fit very well in that description. Its typing is electric and flying with the ability Volt Absorb, meaning any electric attack, Ral is just going to eat it up and absorb it. Ral is also aligned with the red and blue colors. Ugin doesn't have a color identity and Nissa's is green. I forgot to mention those two's color affiliation. But so Thundurus, its special attack stat is 79, attack stat base 105, defense stat base 70, special attack stat base 145, special defense stat base 80, and speed base 101. Thundurus, once again, primarily going to be a special breaker here. It has options like Thunderbolt, Psychic, Dark Pulse, Grass Knot, Focus Blast. I believe it also gets... Actually, don't quote me on anything else. I can't remember off the top of my head, but... Overall, Thundurus also gets some very strong coverage moves. And with that base 105 attack stat, Thundurus can also be run physically. It got access to the move Acrobatics, which gave Thundurus a flying stab that it did not have in previous generations, which is incredible for it, making Thundurus have access to its dual stab finally, even if it has to use that stab on the physical side, but it also has knockoff and U-turn. Overall, Thundurus, just a very, very versatile Pokemon, also resists flying, which both Nissa and Quintorius struggle with, so yeah. Thundurus is the other Pokemon, and I have not actually used this Thundurus on the team before, so Thundurus is the other special breaker is what I meant to say, and yeah. Up next we have Tameo, or Primarina. Tameo is a Moonfolk Planeswalker from the plane of Kamigawa, which is kind of the Japanese-inspired plane. Basically, Tameo is a Moonfolk, which means, you know, Water and Fairy, I feel like, depicted that very well. She is mostly blue aligned, sometimes green aligned in her cards, so. With the abilities Torrent and Liquid Voice, Torrent being able to power up the water moves when at low HP, and Liquid Voice being able to turn any sound-based move into a water-type move, such as things like Hyper Voice or Psychic Noise, is really, really helpful. So, Primarina's HP stat is 80, attack stat 74, defense stat 74, special attack stat 126, special defense stat 116, and speed stat of 60. It has access to some okay physical moves such as Aqua Jet and Flip Turn, which are both nice for utility, but the main draw of Primarina is the fact that Flip Turn provides slow momentum for the team, which it did not already have, and that massive special attack stat with coverage moves such as Ice Beam, Energy Ball, Stored Power, as well as very powerful stab like the aforementioned Psychic Noise, Draining Kiss, Moonblast, Sparkling Aria, which heals burns, which isn't actually that relevant, but Surf, just very, very strong Pokemon, and I'm excited to use it on the team. Up next, we have our Scizor, based off of Grist. Grist is an insectile aberration, kind of an insect skeleton guy. I don't really know how else to describe Grist. I actually don't think it's known what world Grist is from in the Magic universe. Grist was printed in a supplemental product, so there's still a lot of lore not established with Grist, but Grist represents Scizor, which is the steel bug type, which I felt was fitting for an insect skeleton man. It's like a skeleton made out of insects. Its abilities are Swarm, which, like Primarina's Torrent, can power Scizor up in a pinch. Technician, which allows Scizor's weaker moves with base 60 power to get a little bit stronger. Things like Bullet Punch, Quick Attack, Bug Bite, Thief, and I think those are largely the relevant ones. Then Light Metal, which cuts its weight in half. That one's not really going to be relevant all that often. Its base stat total is 70 HP, 130 in attack, 100 in defense, 55 in special attack, 80 in special defense, and 65 in speed. Scizor has very strong Bullet Punch priority that can knock things out, and an incredible defensive typing, only being weak to fire. It has Stab U-Turn, which off of that base 130 attack stat is going to hurt most things, and yeah, just a really, really amazing addition to the team, and yeah, I think I've used Scizor a couple of times before, so nothing new for y'all, but up next we have our second of two Tera captains, which is based off of the Geomancer from the plane of Mirrodin, Koth. Koth is mostly... he draws his power from magma, and I thought Coalossal would be a perfect fit for that. He's one of the Volshock people, meaning, like, actually made of, like, rock and fire. So, Coalossal, his typings are rock and fire, and is my Tera captain. Abilities, you got Steam Engine, which maximizes Coalossal's speed if hit by a water or fire attack. Flame Body, which is the chance to burn an opponent's Pokemon upon contact. Flash Fire, which makes it immune to those fire moves, very helpful with Scizor. And powers up the fire moves instead from Coalossal. Its HP stat is base 110, its attack stat is base 80, its defense stat is base 120, special attack stat base 80, special defense stat base 90, speed stat base 30. Basically with Coalossal, what you have to know is it can be either a physical or a special attacker. With access to Tera Blast of any type, it basically has perfect coverage. As well, on the special side, it gets things like Meteor Beam, Flamethrower, then things like Scald, Scorching Sands, even Solar Beam, as well as any Tera Blast of its choosing. On the physical side, you have things like Body Press, you have things like Rapid Spin, you have things like Stone Edge, Heat Crash, Flare Blitz, basically Earthquake. You know, you got a lot of different coverage options. Having that Tera Blast of any type is very nice. Coalossal also gets some really nice utility moves, most notably in Stealth Rock and Spikes, as well as the aforementioned Rapid Spin. Meaning it can set hazards, change its type to be better defensively, to get rid of that abysmal Fire-Rock typing, and overall just be a tank that can also provide a decent support role. Up next we have Kaya, the Ghost Assassin, aka Froslass. So, Kaya, I don't think it's known where Kaya's home is in the Magic Multiverse, but the established lore of Kaya is she's a monster hunter. She last notably was a big part of the story in Kaldheim, the Eternal Winter Plane, where she was tasked with taking down a giant monster, and her body is purely ghost, however she is a living being still. So I felt like the typing Ice Ghost made sense, especially considering one of her last ventures was on Kaldheim. So her abilities are Snow Cloak and Curse Body. Curse Body being the relevant one here. I actually think Snow Cloak might be banned. Anyway, Curse Body gives a small chance that a Pokemon who attacks this Pokemon gets their move disabled. If Froslass were to take a hit from it, has 70 in HP, 80 in attack, 70 in defense, 80 in special attack, 70 in special defense, and 110 in speed. Basically, Froslass has an incredible Ice Ghost offensive typing. It gets access to both really good stabs, both physically and specially, in Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, Ice Shard, Triple Axle, Poltergeist, as well as things like Will-O-Wisp, Spikes, Destiny Bond, I believe Thunder Wave as well, but it also gets Taunt, which, as well as Hex, which is very good. Froslass is overall just a very solid utility mon, and I'm happy to have picked it up for such a low price. Up next we have Vraska, the Skuntank. Vraska is a Gorgon, and the best way to describe Skuntank as that is like, you know, it's gonna turn you to stone with those glaring eyes. Dark poison type, has the ability Stench, which makes the opponent flinch, which also could go along with Vraska's turning characters to stone. It has Aftermath, which If it's hit, Roscoe will deal that damage right back, or deal some additional damage right back. And Keen Eye, Roscoe's eyes turn people to stone. Also, Keen Eye makes it so that its accuracy cannot be lowered. Has a base 103 attack, 103 HP, 93 in attack, 67 in defense, 71 in special attack, 61 in special defense, and 84 in speed. Basically, Skuntank's job was to be a cheap dark and a cheap poison. It gets access to toxic spikes this gen, which makes it so much better. It also gets access to knockoff, being its best dark stab. It also gets gunk shot, which it didn't have before, which is a very powerful poison move. It also gets a couple of good coverage options such as Temper Flare and Play Rough, as well as some more utility moves in things like Taunt and Toxic, as well as Sucker Punch for some priority. Its defenses are not great, but it has a high HP stat, meaning it can serve a defensive role on some teams, which is very nice. And yeah, I thought Skuntank was just a good cheap pick, and I have actually won a championship with Skuntank before, so I'm happy to welcome it back to the team, and hopefully it can carry me to another championship. Speaking of, this leads us to our last Pokemon, named after the all-powerful dragon god Nicol Bolas, the most evil threat in the universe, and that is, or in the multiverse, and that is because that is our Dunsparce, which is our mascot. You know, normal typing, ability Serene Grace, Runaway, Rattled, not really all that relevant, sometimes Rattled maybe, but Dunsparce isn't really outspeeding anything anyway. But it has the base 100 HP stat, base 70 attack, base 70 defense, base 65 special attack and defense, and base 45 speed, and it can hold the Eviolite, which makes it so much more bulky. Dunsparce has such a wide move pool. It has setup options in Coil and Calm Mind. It has universally good coverage, things like Earthquake, Rock Slide on the physical side, as well as Headbutt and Body Slam to make things flinch and paralyze, as well as things like Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt. Overall, just very, very versatile mon. It also gets Glare, Stealth Rock, Toxic. Dunsparce is one of the few non-poison types to keep the move Toxic. It also gets Roost. Access to the Eviolite bolstering its defenses is very, very powerful. And yeah, gotta always win with your favorites, to quote Karen of the Elite Four in Johto, and to quote my friend the Uzi Gunner as well. So yeah, that's our team. Dunsparce is my favorite Pokemon and rounded the team out perfectly. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and if you're new here and like what I do, leave a subscribe there. Like the video, and I'll see you guys next week for week 1, when we take on Crepuscule and her Twilight Slashers. See y'all next time.